ready. Hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you all lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want to go.
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. This weekend, final game at home for the second time, and I think in a couple of years, we're against Portsmouth, coming all the way from the south coast. But it was the final game of the season last time for a midday kickoff, where I got too drunk and didn't make it to the pub. And we're going to be talking to Ryan tonight in... Ryan, I'm glad you got to witness that Adele interlude there. That was
fantastic.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been there for a couple of years, and I get a lot of grief about it. It's its penultimate time of getting a run out, unless somebody starts an online petition to keep it. But it's I keep getting grief about it. Ryan, tell me about yourself. Whereabouts are you? What's your outlet?
So I am one of those dastardly people who doesn't live on the island of Portsmouth anymore. I'm an exile, but I live about 15 minutes off the island. So it's always about a 20-minute car ride. Home games. Me and 4 different generations of the family have been doing Fratton Park journeys all through my life. And my particular family's been doing Fratton Park for at least 120 years now. So it's not even a choice at this stage. It's a bloodline obligation, for better or for worse.
Do you know what? I'm exactly the same. I lived in Southampton for about 15 years and know Portsmouth quite well. And for some reason, have a season ticket. Truly one of the worst investments I've ever made in my life. So whereabouts in the South Coast are you then? Because I may know it.
So I know I'm in Fareham.
Oh, you're in Fareham. Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think I played football with Lee Peacock down at Porchester once. That was quite fun. Graham Ricks was the manager. Lots happening.
Oh, so that would be 2001. Yeah,
I think it was
manager.
I think it was later than that. I think he's been there for a number of years. Loves a smoke. Loves his fags. So anyway, let's get into it. So absolutely battered League One to get out of it, and came tearing up. What were your pre-season expectations to? Before the season kicked off, and then obviously I assume they've changed as the season's gone on.
Weirdly, I kept it under wraps of my expectations. Where we've seen teams come out of League One previously and done a double jump or attempted a double jump, Ipswich, for example, Sunderland got close to doing it. Coventry got close to doing it. I tempered ours a bit more to a bit more objective realism. I said start the season 17th would be slightly nonplussed at times, maybe a little bit boring compared to what we used to, which is either relegation fights on our way down from the Premier League or promotion fights on our way up or playoff hunts. I predicted 17th. What I did get wrong is how we'd get 17th. I thought we'd have, an okay home record, an okay away record. What actually happened was we were one of the worst away teams in English football. And since the return of Colby Bishop, we're one of the best home teams in the division. So we've taken 2 ends of the spectrum and combined it to roughly where I'd expect us to finish.
Ryan, your form the last 2 months as a football club is the most championship football results I've ever seen. I thought I'd do a bit of prep, get involved and stuff like this. Excuse me, and brace yourself. So in March, right? Lost to Luton, who were down there with you. Beat Leeds. Lost to Plymouth, who were down there with you. Lost to Preston. Beat Blackburn. And then in April, it goes to beating Watford, beating Norwich away, drawing with Derby, who were fighting for their lives, losing to Coventry. That's the only one I might have been able to call out of those 2 months. Maybe if I was putting a bet on, if I was pushed. But it's one of those fixtures where you think, sod it, I don't fancy that. But it's absolute insanity. You must have been smashing accumulators across the country.
Oh, we were the ultimate coupon busters for a good while. That 10-day stretch you mentioned, where we lost to Luton, beat Leeds, lost to Plymouth, Luton were bottom at the time when we lost that game at Kenilworth Road. A few days later, we go and beat top of the league. And because Luton had beaten us, they'd climbed off the bottom of the table to be replaced by Plymouth. So in 10 days, we lost to the bottom of the league, beat top of the league, lost to the bottom of the league. And it was Plymouth were the last team in England to not have won an away game. Come down to Fratton Park and we'll sort that out for you just after we go and beat Leeds in the 12:30 kickoff on telly. So yeah, coupon busters everywhere.
Absolute nuts. Now, the last weekend, the bank holiday, the Monday, I think the bottom six, none of them lost. Not one team lost. But you must be looking at that table thinking, we're okay. You know what I mean? Is it even still mathematically possible for you to go down? I think, solidify season, stay in the league, that type of thing. There's a lot of shitter teams, to pardon my French, below you in the league than yourself. So you must be all right with that, right?
Oh, we're over the moon right now. We went into the Norwich game away on Friday thinking we'll take anything given our away form, which up until that point was 2 away wins all season. We caught a Norwich team that was on the beach, ran out 5-3 winners. Ridiculous. Just absurd, where we've won 2 away games all season, and then by that game we scored 5 by the 70th minute. We go into Monday with other results having happened on the Friday. A win is all that we need. You may look at the table and think, well, how are you safe? Because there are a certain number of teams, a certain number of points below us. It's because Hull played Derby on Saturday, they can't either of them obtain maximum points. So it's through that particular game still to play that means that as of the win over Watford on Monday, the job is done. We are safe. I'm delighted that I get to go to Hillsborough on Saturday with a heart rate at a normal level. There's nothing to play for.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, like our home form has been pretty sketchy. We only notched our second win of 2025 against Middlesbrough, coming from behind last home game. So had you have needed that, I'm sure Charity FC, as we keep calling ourselves, and I'm pretty sure every team in the bottom half of the Championship would refer to themselves as that, would have helped you out.
I've been at the last 2 games at Hillsborough. The one to end the season that you were on about a few minutes ago.
George Hurst scored in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then we played you, weirdly, in our very next game to start the next season. Obviously, you had a playoff campaign in between, but we had you at Hillsborough 2 games in a row from our perspective, and we conceded 7 goals total. So I'm actually quite glad there's nothing on the line for Saturday, because your net rustles a lot when we go up there.
Look, if it's us at home this season, I'll take it. But I look at the league though. I look at Plymouth and I look at Cardiff, and I'm an eternal optimist at times. And I'd be looking at that thinking, well, with they've got to play each other, I reckon I could take Derby's spot. I reckon I could get that 21st spot. It's fascinating, and I'm really intrigued to see how the results are going to go, because we're mid-table mediocrity, and we're all right with that, kids. So let's talk about that game back in October. It was the day before my birthday, Ryan, and I used to DJ at Pop World in Portsmouth back in an old life, back when it was Flares and then Babylon.
I was going to say, if it's Babylon, I've definitely, yeah.
Monday night pound drinks, climb on. So I went back to an old stomping ground, and there's a video surfaced of me, and I will admit, not dropping a beat dancing to NSYNC. Didn't popped them all up, lived an old life. But
if it's on camera, you've got to show up. You've got to show up.
You know what I mean? You can't phone it in, kids. You can't.
Exactly.
So prior to that was quite an odd game of football. I couldn't work out. It was. I wouldn't say anybody battered each other, and it took a hell of a goal from Michael Smith to seal the 3 points for Sheffield Wednesday. It was Conor Ogilvie opened the scoring for you guys. I had no recollection of that because I already started supping. Now you've redone the away end, you can get a pint, so we can't be trusted back there now. But not really much to take away from that game, was there, in terms of that goal?
For us, it feels like a different season. With that game being in October, we didn't have Colby Bishop back yet. He would make his miraculous unexpected return in November. That's a great story, by the way, which we'll get onto in a bit.
Get it?
So yeah, that game feels like a different season. We hadn't won a home game at that point. I think we'd only just picked up our first win of the whole season away at QPR. So the way that game played out, we were really struggling at that point to try and find a way out of the mess we were in, because we didn't really have that top end capacity to hang on to the ball, to drag the threat into your half of the pitch and put you under too many questions, which is why in that second half, when you start to put the pressure on us in reverse, you never really looked back. To your point, nobody battered anyone, but the moment you wrestled the momentum back off us in that second half, we all knew that win was coming. And I know some Pompey fans never liked Michael Smith and maybe have a bit of a grudge. I don't. I thought he was really good for us. He got promoted twice before we did. He's obviously proven that he's a good footballer, and it's a hell of a goal to win it. Hell of a goal.
Yeah, it was. I feel that you saw the opening credits of the season before's goals. I think that one's going to make the that was going to make the show reel for the opening part of next season. So let's talk about the upcoming game. I feel that Smudge might have the bit between his teeth, but he was quite magnanimous after that win down at Fratton Park. He said he enjoyed his football down in Pompey, but I believe there's separates opinion between you guys, right?
Yeah, so some Pompey fans kind of viewed him as a bit of a non-scoring cart horse, and I think maybe in their slight deference, his goal record at us wasn't great, but I really liked him. I liked a guy, I like a forward that has so many different facets to their game and has the capacity to be a nuisance for defenders while also having the eye for goal. And when, oddly enough, I think if I remember correctly, Michael Smith was actually loaned to a division higher than us. So we loaned him up a division, which is quite a rare thing in itself. And he got promoted after that as well. So I always liked Michael Smith as a forward. I think he's got a really good all-round game. And that was in League Two for us. I always knew he was higher than a League Two player. You look at the amount of sustained years he's either had in the higher echelons of League One or in the Championship. He's done nothing but prove that he's far beyond whatever we saw at Portsmouth. So he does separate opinion, but for me, I've always liked him, and I've always known that he'd have higher horizons than a League Two Portsmouth. We're in the same division again now, but I knew that wasn't his ceiling.
Yeah, he's not had a bad season in the Championship, to be fair. Somebody who we thought we wouldn't be seeing at this part of the season, we didn't think he'd still be in the squad, because as you say, he's bounced around League One and League Two, and as soon as Rotherham got promoted from League One, we got him to play League One again. So but he's not done too bad. I feel like the system that we play, where he's not a back to goal striker, is he? He's very much. I keep saying to my mum when I sit next to it, Hillsborough, he could start a fight in a phone box. He stood on the edge of the sticks, looking for anything to get something on something, and I can't. It's been somewhat successful for him this season, more than I anticipated, if I'm honest. But you referenced earlier that there was a story you were going to tell. Was it Colby Bishop? You said
Colby Bishop, yeah. So this is absurd as a narrative. So we're in late July. I can't remember the exact date, but I do know we were close enough to the start of the season that I had my Leeds away ticket for the opening day of the season. So maybe like 2 weeks max. Club comes out with a statement. We've found a defect in Colby Bishop's heart, needs immediate surgery.
Good
and
Lord.
This is within 2 weeks of the start of the season. That's our main forward. The guy scored 20 goals and 21 goals in the last 2 seasons, and we need to replace that guy before our first season in the Championship in 12 years. So it's all panic stations. He's on the operating table. We don't expect him back before New Year, maybe February. This is actual heart surgery. This isn't some odd medicinal thing he went to. Like, this was actual on the table, cracking under the rib cage to get to the heart type surgery.
Good Lord.
So the play yourselves in that game at Fratton, and as you probably remember, we didn't really offer much despite taking the lead, but that was from a corner, if I remember correctly, at the end of the half. Then in November, we get a random 2 p.m. team sheet, home to Preston. Colby Bishop's on the bench. How? And how's a good question, because he was actually deregistered in August when they found out about his heart defect. There's not a chance he's making the squad. We've deregistered him. So then the next question is, well, how have you been able to register him in November? This is where the story gets totally bizarre. In the summer, we signed a centre-back, Ivan Bauer. Tears his ACL taking a shot in training before he ever kicked a ball for us. But he remained part of the squad registration. So in November, when Colby Bishop somehow miraculously comes back from the operating table and returns to fitness in 3 short months, we go to the EFL. And there is some kind of daft little.
It's an emergency drop out and drop one in type of vibe, isn't it?
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
we got special dispensation that because Bauer had sustained a season-ending injury without kicking a ball, we were allowed to deregister him and register Bishop. Otherwise, we'd have to wait until January, another whole 2 months down the line before we can bring Bishop back. And since Bishop's come back in November, the only player in the Championship that scored more than Bishop is Joel Pirot at Leeds. Now, can you imagine what our season turns out to be like if we have to wait another 2 months for that guy to come back? We're probably done. But the absurd bit is, it doesn't happen without the Bauer ACL injury. So you need to be fortunate enough for a player to have suffered an ACL injury in August for him to then make way for Colby. It is ridiculous story that we've been able to have all of that fall into place.
Terrible health scare / injuries, and all of a sudden it's worked out well for somebody who genuinely had heart surgery.
Yeah,
that is
to fix a heart defect. Yeah, and he's as of Monday, he's on 11 goals, and he came back in November. Just ridiculous stuff.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the game this weekend. For me, it's got the makings of a really dour on the beach mid-table end of season tear up, or could just be about 3-0, or you guys could just go, it's a long way up here, lads. Come on now. You know what I mean?
I'm excited in a way because it's been such a tight run through all of it. At one point, we were 7 points away from safety at the very foot of the table. I think that was the night we lost 6-1 away at Stoke on a Wednesday. I was there.
Great.
I've been in there. I'm one of those daft kids that goes nearly every game. So any Pompey pumping, I can say I was there, and I'll be there Saturday. I'm weirdly looking forward to Saturday because it's the first time I will have not felt that relegation battle pressure pretty much all the way. And I don't know how to call it because we are such an aggressively playing team, even away from home. We want to get in your face. We want to win the ball back in your half. We want to turn it over quickly and get at you. That's partly the reason why we lost 6-1 at Stoke, 5-1 at West Brom, 4-0 at Derby. The list goes on.
But again, I look back at 2025, and like you say, you've had a Jekyll and Hyde type of season, right? You know what I mean? The first half being woeful, and then the second half just picking up points where you shouldn't have done, but dropping points where you think you get some. So, like smashing Coventry 4-1, ridiculous. But then, the week before you got smashed by Derby County. It's like you're beating teams that you shouldn't, and you're getting battered by the teams that were around you at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, and it largely came down to, there's obviously other factors in it, but the rule of thumb was if you try and play out from the back, especially at Fratton, where the pitch is either the smallest or second smallest in the division by sort of total volume, if you try and play out from the back at Fratton, you're going to get fried because we had found such a niche for getting in your own third, getting in your face and turning the ball over. But away from home, where pitches are longer, we aren't that adaptable away from home. They're just going around us. Like if you watch the highlights back of that Derby 4-0 game, we'd try and close down, but we'd be a good 3-4 yards away, and they just play around you, over, under. Like we were getting everything wrong. Yeah, it's one of the most Jekyll and Hyde seasons I've home and away I've ever had as a Pompey.
It's been fun though, hasn't it? It's been fun. You know what I mean? Like we've had protests. You've not had them.
Yeah. We had all the administration, the points deductions on the way down, but the last of those was in 2014. So really, for the last 10 years, starting from the foot of League Two, it's been this slow upward trajectory out of League Two.
And it's been clever as well. It's not been punching above your weight financially. You've actually gone about it in a slowly catch you monkey type of way.
Yeah, I think if you take it overall relative to say what Ipswich laid out to get out of the division, what Derby did, what Bolton have tried to do, failed, and certainly what Birmingham have done, we have probably had one of the far, far smallest net spends of a team getting out of League One. So we've done it in a fairly cautious, sensible way. Yes, it's taken a bit longer, but we're here all the same. So as much as we've had some thumpings on the way this season, or our other trick up the sleeve away from home this season is concede in the 90th minute away from home. I've loved it though. You know, I remember that I don't think Pompey are a Premier League club. In my honest opinion, we're a Championship club, and we spent 12 years out of that level.
Mm-hmm.
And with the 4 years in League Two and the 7 in League One, to be back in it this season, to be back in it, what I would consider the correct stadiums for Pompey to be in. Not, I've been to Shrewsbury 8 times. Like, come on, I don't need a ninth. So I think I've been to like Accrington 6 times and Fleetwood 7 times. You know,
it's when you're getting excited about the way they at Fleetwood. You're like, yeah, we'll go down Blackpool and all. It'll be all right. You think, I'm bored of it. There'll probably a few of your listeners that have gone Fleetwood before, and it's probably got one of the best pubs nearby called the Strawberry Garden. Love that place. But yeah, these were the grounds I was doing like 7-8 times on the way up, and I think, you know, I'd like to go back to, I don't know, the Riverside or the Hawthorn, stuff where I think Pompey should be. So it's thumpings aside, I've loved the season, and it feels natural to me. I'm not really looking at the Premier League going, we belong there. It'd be great if we got there, but I don't think we belong there. It's been 25 years for us. There are people now that don't remember that we were a club up in there and one of the starting clubs. So we have to get what we're given. But I tell you what, it's a big emotional state to go through when you sat there missing a tie at West Brom away. To be fair, Ryan, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, when I'm sat in the away end at Shrewsbury for the 8th time, going, it does get better than this one day, right?
It's Cheltenham for me. It's Cheltenham and Fleetwood where I'm like, oh
Cheltenham.
God, what we're doing? What is that?
Yeah, you sat in that little social club just outside Cheltenham ground for the 4th time, and you're thinking, it didn't used to be like this.
I hate this. But listen, let's wrap this up then with a score prediction. What are you thinking?
Somewhere between 0-0 and 5-5.
I agree.
I think I can't call it because we're on the beach now. But John Messino, I think, will still want charges from his players to play quite aggressively and on the front foot. My question is who's actually fit, because 3 players went off injured in Monday's game against Watford. And 2 of the subs that came on were clearly not fit recovering from injury. So I'm more fascinated to see who actually ends up starting for us. I'm going to go with a nice, respectable 1-1. I have no basis for it, but it feels nice.
I like it. Hopefully I'll see you there, Ryan. And let's, if we catch each other, let's have a pint. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Dan.
What's the name of your... my pleasure. What's the name of your podcast?
We are 3 lads in the pub. Very literal.
I like that. That sounds like a better podcast than me in front of this trashy bloody sheet. But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Stay on the line. I'll see you
every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your